Hey everyone, Mr. MC here, and for today's video, this is going to be a guide for the 1 hour of Alsace race on Gran Turismo 7. This video is accurate as of version 1.25, so this is going along with the October 2022 update. The car that we'll be using is going to be the 1969 Chevrolet Camaro Z28, so this is a car that you win from menu book number 15. So we'll go over the race details, the things I need to make this build, and then we'll go ahead and show how the car handles and a bit of the strategies for this race. Now the big change here with version 1.25 is that the PP limit is now at 465 instead of 460, so there's a few more things that we can play around with. Fuel is a ×5, so fuel will be the main issue here. Tire wear is a ×1, so tire wear not an issue at all. The car must be from 1979 or older, nitrous is prohibited, and it can be a road or racing car, and comfort tires are the only tires allowed here. And I did make a video with this car for version 1.24, but that was made irrelevant, so I decided to remake this video with a new build. So the first thing we'll do is go on over to the GT Auto, because the first thing you want to do is to give this car a wide body. So this will give us a bit more downforce values to play around with, so go ahead and install that. For the wheels, keep it stock, but give it the wide offset. So some of these things are still similar as to the last build that I had. The front bumper, still you want it to be a type A replacement. The rear bumper is still up to you. You can either keep it standard or go for the type A. It does not affect the performance point values at all, but we're going to need the custom wing set. I know it's not the most appealing thing ever, but we're going to need it to keep the performance point values below 465. So go ahead and feel free to pause the video right about now, as I'm going to go ahead and show the tune. Still keeping the body rigidity upgrade and the racing brake pads. Other than that, there's not much going on over here. I do have a brake balance controller in case you want to fiddle with that, but for me, I kept the brake balance at 0. Now, I was able to keep the comfort soft tires. I lowered a bit of the front downforce, and that helped me bring the power up a little bit more, and I went ahead and stiffened the suspension a bit more. Be aware that I'm still using the stock transmission, so we're not able to customize any of that stuff. And be aware that I did not add any sort of ballast. Alright, so now on to the race. So this is going to be the showcase, so 1 hour race around Alsace. Be aware that fuel is a ×5, so fuel is the main issue here. Tire wear ×1, so tire wear is not an issue at all. So you want to try to get the softest tire compound that you can get away with for your build. Luckily, I was able to get away with the comfort soft tires, but again, these are comfort tires we're talking about, so you still want to be a bit careful about how you drive the cars so you don't end up losing control, as well, there's not much grip to begin with. So with this build, as more specifically the Camaro Z28, you don't want to fuel save too much, and that's because this car, it loses a lot of pace when you're trying to fuel save, mainly by short shifting. You still want to do a little bit of fuel saving, but you want to try to find that right balance where you're able to keep most of your pace while still able to save a bit of fuel so you can stay out on the track a bit longer. If you go flat out, so no regards for fuel saving, then you're going to be pitting every 8 laps. If you're able to fuel save like how I do, which I'll show you how I do it in a bit, then you can do 9 laps before you have to pit in to refuel. And the reason why I say that this car is not the greatest at fuel saving is because if you start to short shift way too much, so let's say you shift before the bar is halfway full, then you're not going to have that much power, so that's where you start to lose a lot of the pace, because most of the power for this car is towards the end of the rev range. So when you're going through higher speed sections of the track, you want to rev the heck out of the car, and if you're going to be approaching some turns, then that's where you can get away with a bit of short shifting. For example, right here, I'm about to approach a turn, so I just shift up a little bit earlier than usual and then go through the left turn. going up the hill, rev the heck out of this car. This is a high-speed section of the track, so this is where you want to make use of the car's power. And as I mentioned earlier, you just want to be careful getting on the throttle as you exit a turn, so you can keep control of your car at all times, so you can reduce the chance of getting wheel spin as you exit a turn. Alright, so this is where I'm going to start to show you where I do some of my fuel saving, keyword some. One thing to be aware of is that I don't adjust the fuel map at all, so I leave it at 1, and the most of the fuel saving that I'm doing is simply by short shifting, and I begin to fuel save after I complete turn 3, which is the hairpin that is coming up. So revving the heck out of the car on this straight just after turn 1, making use of all the car's power. After I complete this hairpin, this is where I'm going to go ahead and start to do a bit of fuel saving. So I'm going to go ahead and shift just after the bar passes the gear number. So normally there's like a little red box that appears. That's where you shift, so around 75 to 80% of the way. So just after turn 3, that's where I do one short shift. I rev it out after turn 4, which is the left turn we just went through. I go down to 3rd gear and keep it there. If you're going flat out, you can drop down to 2nd gear, but if you're fuel saving, just stay down in 3rd gear. You can short shift to 4th gear just before you brake for this left turn, which you'll see me do it right now. There we go. Stay on 3rd gear. I stay on 3rd gear no matter what. If I'm fuel saving or going flat out, I take that turn on 3rd gear. Short shift into 4th gear just before you enter the big banky boy, and you're going to stay on 4th gear until you reach the left turn that leads into the hairpin. So not this left turn, but the one after. So just staying on 4th gear. So you're doing a bit of fuel saving mainly by short shifting. And then this is where you go down to 2nd gear. Just try to get a good exit out of the hairpin. Then I'm going to shift up to 3rd gear when the bar is around 75 to 80% full. Just be nice and careful through this uphill left turn. Really easy to have the car step out if you're too aggressive there. Rev the heck out of this car once again. Try to make use of the car's power on the higher speed sections of the track. And for the final chicane, I drop down to 3rd gear and I stay there if I'm trying to fuel save. So this chicane on 3rd gear. If you're going flat out, then you can drop down to 2nd gear. And that's how I do my fuel saving for this race. If you're able to do it just right, then you should be able to last 9 laps before you have to go to the pit stop and refuel. So skipping an order towards the end of lap 9, I would only touch the fuel mapping in case I'm about to run out of fuel just before I enter the pit stop, but because I know I'm good on fuel and I can safely make it, I don't touch the fuel mapping at all. So let's go ahead and pit on in. No need to do a tire change because the tire wear is at ×1, so tire wear not an issue at all. And the refuel rate is going to be around 7 liters per second. So your pit loss, assuming that you're refueling from an empty tank, is going to be around 26 seconds. So this is only if you're choosing to refuel. So as I mentioned earlier, for the Camaro build, if you're fuel saving the way that I'm doing it, then you should be good for 9 laps worth of fuel. So you're pitting every 9 laps. If you're going flat out, then you're pitting every 8 laps for fuel. And as you exit the pit stop, just carefully exit the first hairpin. But anyways, skipping an order towards the end of lap 18, we're going to go ahead and pit on in again. So we just completed our 9th lap for this second stint. And no need to change tires once again. We're only going in for fuel. So unlike the first 2 stints, this 3rd stint is going to be shorter because we only have 15 minutes in this race left. So I actually just refueled all the way because what I want to do is go flat out for this 3rd and final stint. So I'm going to go ahead and show you my fastest lap. So far my fastest lap was a 223.6, and that was with some fuel saving. Now it's a 223.4 going flat out, but I know I can go a little faster than that, so we'll see how fast we can go. So this is going flat out. Again, you only do about 8 laps before you have to refuel if you're not fuel saving at all, using every single rev that this car can offer. Now unfortunately, some cars are going to get in the way because I do have to deal with lap traffic, so that is going to hurt my time a bit, and I do make a couple of mistakes, and you'll kind of see where that happens. So after turn 3, I'm going to stay on second gear, gonna rev the heck out of it, get the most out of the power from this car, then shift up to third gear. You still want to be a little careful through this long left turn, really easy to have the car step out if you're too aggressive. And again, I am not fuel saving anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and shift down to second gear and try to get a bit more power out of the car coming out of this turn. Just trying to be really careful, not get onto the grass. I'm going to go ahead and stay on third gear, but I am not going to shift down to second gear for this turn. At least for me, it just feels better staying on third gear through here. Gonna get held up just a little bit, so that will hurt my time, but not too much, as I didn't have to slow down too much. Going to take the big baking boy on third gear now instead of fourth, so I'm able to get a bit more power out of the car. Go up to fourth gear, about to enter the final sector. Right now I'm on road to getting a 2-minute and 22-second lap time, so things are looking good until now, because this is where I start to mess up a little bit. Got on the throttle a little too early, so the car stepped out a bit. Shift up to third gear, revving it out. Just try to be a little careful through here. Really easy to lose control if you're way too aggressive on the uphill left-hand turn. Rev the heck out of this car, go up to fourth gear. And now for the final chicane, gonna go down to second gear. And gonna get a bit more power out of the car coming out of the chicane. But you do need to be a little careful because it's really easy to step out right there. And that unfortunately cost me about 0.2 of a second right there, which is unfortunately going to ruin my 222 run. So fastest lap was a 223.8. 222s are possible with this build if you're able to go flat out and not make any mistakes or get held up. But at the end of this run, I was able to get 25 laps in with a total time of 1 hour, 1 minute and 7 seconds. Fastest lap time was a 223.2, and I pitted twice only for fuel. So my personal thoughts about this build, I'm pretty happy that I was able to make a build for this car with the Comfort soft tires. I honestly thought that it was not going to be possible to do that without resorting to reducing all of its power or adding a ton of ballast. Luckily, I did not have to do all that, so that was a bit of a pleasant surprise, especially after the version 1.25 update kind of messed around with the performance point system once again. And to really get the most out of this car, you do have to push it a bit while trying to fuel save, so it's not the easiest thing to do. And speaking about the fuel, the thing that I don't like about the Camaro build is that this car is not good on fuel, and it's not that good on fuel saving, so trying to find that line where you're able to save a bit of fuel while trying to maintain most of your pace, it's not the easiest thing to do, at least for this car. But the best thing about this build actually has to do with the car itself, because you get the Camaro Z28 from menu book number 15, so you get one for free. You don't have to spend 20 million credits because, yeah, it takes about 20 million years to grind credits for it. But that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully this video helped you out a bit, and if you like this video, you can press a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I do have a memberships program thing that you can check out down below if you want to support this channel even more. Really helps me out, really helps the channel out. And a quick shout out to the channel members. Just want to give you guys another thank you for supporting this channel. So that's going to be it from me. This is Mr. MCA, the world's most okay player, and I'll see you in the next video.